Hello, everybody. I'm just going to take off my shoes. I did this in South Africa. Hopefully, I've got no holes. South Africa a while ago because I get slightly nervous about what I'm about to say. Is it the size that counts, or how you use it? You know, that's a funny sort of title. I thought, I'm going to have to get a title that's actually going to get people in and grab people. I didn't think I was going to be on a main stage at all. I'm like, oh, bollocks, what am I doing here? So what I'm really talking about here is basically design. The fact that we, as graphic designers, need to straddle across different ranges. And the whole purpose of this is that both of these items are important. The idea of the size and how you use it. Now, when I say size, it's also about the factors of scale. It doesn't mean that it could be really big, and it can also be incredibly small. But it's how it comes out, how it's basically utilized, how you as a graphic designer can achieve more than the goals that you actually set forth. And I'm proud to be a graphic designer. One of the things that happens today, yes, damn it. This is not an ANA, this is not like a AA meeting. It's like, hi, I'm EDDIE OPARA and I'm a graphic designer. Don't be afraid, don't be bloody afraid, damn it. I'm a graphic designer, I'm proud of it. Architects say, I don't know, architect, and they can do whatever. They can, I design buildings and hospitals and airports, I design that chair and then that table and that bed. Graphic designers, it's like, do a book, a bit of logo here and there. Sometimes we're called, information architects or user experience designer. It's like bollocks. Just say it. You be proud of who you are, and you are also you're basically a tinkerer. You tinker around. I mean, what is that? Sometimes people think tinkerers are like old buggers in a garage, like tweaking things. No, that's not the case. It's like to tinker is an act of attempting to repair or make something work. It's pretty much like a designer, right? And there's an importance to that. There's a sense of experimentation at different scales, at different ranges, and that's really important to the work that I try and do. But there's another factor. A tinkerer is a person that moves from place to place, a person that moves from things to things, and a person that moves from person to person, and even persona to persona. I believe in doing very diverse sets of works, and sometimes, from the aspects of a book or a little art piece to very strange things that you'll see later on. And it's really from the idea of the physical to the digital. And that's what really excites me. And it's also back again, You don't sort of end up with just the digital aspects. So, I always have a problem with this. I always think that people, are trying to put me in a particular corner that sort of, allows them to understand me a lot better. So it's like, so you're that like digital kind of guy, and you're going to just do that. It's like bollocks, absolutely bollocks. I really hate that, and I hope you do too. That's really fucking annoying. Nobody puts baby in a corner. Right? I was going to do a spin, but So we are all tinkerers. It shouldn't be always about the size and the mediums and the content, and all that kind of stuff. It's, it's a willingness to, the ability to surprise, to really, really create spectacle is of interest to me. And never doubt the aspects of risk, ever. Just try it. Don't have fear. And so when I was 15 years of age, I wanted to be an architect, right? Solve that problem. But, I joined the AA. You know what the AA is? Not what you think. Well, it's the Architects Association in London. And you could join at any age. And that, to me, was really, really special. I would walk down to their store, and I would look for stuff, and it was so exciting. I would go into their libraries, and I'd write things down. And you could go to lectures and exhibitions. And the Architects Association is where, like, Raymond Koolhaas went, and Zaha did. And I didn't even know those particular names. But one name I did realize was, like, Archigram. These guys, to me, even though they didn't go to AA, were just amazing. Who loves Archigram here? Right? The factor that they say in their magazines, anything is possible. These were students at the time, and they couldn't really get jobs in particular areas, and their ideas were not pushed out, so they used graphic design to relay their message that anything is possible. And you know what? They molded what we see as like contemporary postmodernist design today. These guys in the corner, Warren Shaw, Peter Cook, Dennis Compton, David Green, Ron Heron, Mike Webb. And there's this sort of quote in that sort of section back there was like, you can roll out steel any length, you can blow up balloons, and I'll get that in a second, any size. You can mold plastic any shape. Blokes that built the fourth bridge, which is a bridge in Britain, they didn't worry. They didn't didn't care in the world. And that aspect is, try everything. And their design, their collages are just like amazing. They're just beautiful. And I've always wanted to do balloons, I've always wanted to do like these instant cities and this aspect of experiential design. But I never ever thought I would, because I didn't become an architect. But then look at that. It's just like with the Zeppelin. It's just like, how did they come up with this stuff in the 60s? This is just mind-bogglingly beautiful. So, here's me thinking, one day somebody's going to be able to give me a job that I can do things that work with inflatables. And they did. They bloody well did. I was so happy, So this is Platform. This is from last year. Platform's a conference for minority entrepreneurs and in the sort of digital realm. And they have no budget whatsoever. They have no effing budget. And it kind of upsets my whole team and me. And so, they had then done the first one in MIT Media Lab, which was a real big success. And then they wanted the second one down in Atlanta at Morehouse College. And when we went to the Morehouse, and they had this field, and they had this sort of tent made up, and we're like, oh, what are we going to do in this field? Because the auditorium's like really not that great. So I was like, this is inflatables. I mean, balloons are really, they're kind of cheap. They're kind of cheap. They got to be kind of cheap. This stuff is not cheap. It's not cheap at all. But what we tried to achieve, and I'll talk to you after this, is the wayfinding, the blimps, the inflatables, and also doing drones. Coming up with different concepts of relaying message in this sort of small conference that's trying to make a difference with no budget. We used a live studio camera, so when people sort of moved on stage, it would sort of react to the 6mm show. I mean, it's not overly fancy, but we tried. So this year, the conference that just finished last week, we were told you can't use the balloons. It's too bloody expensive. And we were like, oh my God, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? So we used flags. I don't have the pictures. They actually look quite nice, but maybe another time. So getting to my next section, because I know things are moving along really quickly, drugs of choice. So yeah, I like to tinker in different areas, from the aspects of atoms to bits. And, you know, who likes weed here? I've never smoked it in my life. No, honest, no, seriously, never smoked it. We were asked to design this book, a field guide to marijuana. Yeah, it's just like special, man. And this book by Dan Michaels is amazing. The photography by Eric Christensen was mind-boggling. And so what we tried to do on the cover was just like trying to reveal that photography, but then, you know, show the aspects of green not being green. And when you're smoking it, supposedly you can see any kind of freaking color. And I'm going to go through these slides pretty quickly. You know, it's a primer to the idea of like how to deal with understanding the concepts of what marijuana is, what cannabis actually is sort of relaying, looking at all the different varieties and how they've like gone over the aspects of history and, you know, the sense of anatomy, and it's just jam-packed full of stuff. And the factor is we wanted to make this book beautiful, because marijuana, in a sense, when you smell it, like me, it is beautiful. And how to roll it, how to, like, you know, get the crutch in there and, you know, roll. You know, I know a little bit too much about that stuff. Anyway, moving on, looking at the different types of strains. It was just like fascinating, you know, names like Dirty Harry, Green Crack. Favorite is Bummer OG. You know, really quickly, I'll go into the aspects of this. OG is a complex Kush hybrid that is a bipartisan mix. It's too funny. So the other drug of choice, alcohol. Who loves alcohol? Right. This, to me, was an interesting concept. I was asked by MIT, Sensible Cities Lab director Carlo Latti, to come over to Cambridge, Massachusetts, and have a little bit of a talk. And we did. And he said, Eddie, you know, we want you to analyze the data for this project I have. And I was like, what? What kind of project? And so it's about design. It's about, you know, enjoying and making things. And I was like, okay, so what is it, Carlos? Like, it's robots making cocktails. And I was like, what? So yes, Coca-Cola is going to give us, you know, some money to do this, and, you know, Bacardi, and we mix them all together, get the robots to do it. It's all about social interaction and analyzing what the best thing is about the alcohol intake, and we're going to connect it to Facebook, and then you're going to visualize it. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Seriously? He says, yes. And it's like, so how long do I have? 30 days. 30 days, 30 bloody days to create, to look at the data analysis, to visualize that information, of setting up an app for people that can actually add their content for their drink, to put it into this queue on screen, to roll it across the screen in the process of making it, and then pushing it out and showing the demographics of like what's going on with people drinking. 30 freaking days? Okay, yeah, sure, I'll try it. And so we built the app, and it was really arduous and hard. Connecting it to these cuckoo robots, I'll show you in a second. So these are some of the screens that we had to build out. These are some of the interfaces that we dealt with. And it was just like really fascinating. It was really fascinating to define how to look at something that you've never ever looked at. It's like the most extreme thing that you can ever do. And these are sort of animatics that we sort of created. This is my former intern, Tourbillon, adding mint and lime and like sugar, muddling that together. And when it's done, it's sent to the back, sent over to the row, and it's there for you to actually enjoy. And the next person comes along. And so we created the interface, it totally worked. This is like an animatic of it. This is the Kuka robot. There were 3 Kuka robots. And it was shown at Design Week in Milan. And here it's working. And it worked. It worked. We didn't even go to Milan. It's like Italians actually using an interface that I've never, hey, what is this? Hard to understand. So then Google, after that success, Google wanted it, 45 days. So we had to take all the Facebook stuff out, But we didn't want to put Google Plus in. Right? Again, it was seen as a spectacle. It was interesting. And that sort of approach to me is really, really mind-boggling. And the drinks were great. Cocktails were perfect. No, like time's running, so I gotta keep moving. But I'm the last person, so hopefully I can go over time a little bit. So this is a little bit of a video. So MIT actually got the robots to actually sort of dance with a choreographer. It was like amazing sort of movements. They've been fascinating. So now you can actually get them on cruise ships. But anyway, that's another story. So, weapon of choice part 2. And what is that? Well, who loves money here? Oh, come on. Well, who loves speculative high-yield investments? Because if you don't, I swear to God, you could be a millionaire if you understood this shit. It's amazing. So I got a call one day from a gentleman named Adam Sterling, and he said, "I've been checking you out, Eddie." I'm like, who the hell is this guy? I've been checking you out. I want you to do a book for the New York Society of Security Analysts. And I'm like, what the hell? Who the hell is that? I don't know. And he was like, it's basically a book called High Yield Future Tense. It's 30 authors from the best minds in financial marketplace understanding of debt and speculative debt and dealing with bonds. And so these guys make people money. This is like the secret sauce is coming to town, Eddie. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, sure. And it's also all these PhDs. This is going to be super fascinating. So I said, yes, sure. So we basically designed it, but we wanted one thing. We wanted to make it so insanely different from what you would actually see from financial documentation that's incredibly boring. And we just sort of rose to the occasion and created sort of enriching piece that, you know, with our plans and our visualizations, it was really sort of a cornucopia of color and power. And, you know, our data was incredibly abstracted and different. And we sort of didn't realize that this was going to be a sort of hit in their area, but they knew that this was interesting. We were interested in the formulas. Like, what does that formula mean? How can that sort of be represented in a particular way that was really nice? How can we actually sort of achieve and adopt a better understanding for this particular area that maybe even my mum, if she wanted to make even more cash, that she'd pick up this book and say, whoa, Eddie, praise be. How about the aspect of like taking a book and using it like a pin-up? So you turn it and go, oh, look at that quote. You know? And they were like, yes, that quote is beautiful. We'll get all the quotes, all the formulas, and then go, whoa, that formula is bloody beautiful. Even the index, we wanted it to be special and different. And I'm showing you sort of like the books because it's really important that the craftsmanship is still within somebody that people will say, oh, Eddie does all this digital stuff. He did this stuff. Oh, fuck you. So, who likes financial spectacles? You know, no? Do you know what financial spectacles are? Well, apart from Wall Street crashing and all that kind of stuff. Huh? Well, we were asked to build, I don't even know what to say. It's part of the tallest building in Thailand, in Southeast Asia. And you see that, like, that cube building there in the sort of center? Well, that is part of the complex. And it's actually called the Cube. And the BTS, who's been to Bangkok? Yeah, hopefully it wasn't for funny, weird things. Anyway, so the BTS runs across here, and basically it's like Blade Runner. You know, that's this dystopia kind of thing, where you can actually walk into that building. And that facade of that building is one big LED. 7 stories high. And we're like, you know, so what are we supposed to do? Was like, well, you know, it's a financial district. Do something with finance, maybe, and also come up with other themes. So we looked at our values. We looked at particular values that were really, really important to us. The creative aspect of it, the idea of being iconic and diverse and responsive and adaptive and smart. And we had one sort of limitation, and that limitation was that it's not just one big LED, it's multiple LEDs put together. It's like a cassette framework. And so we were like, oh man, every single piece is subdivided. How are we going to make one single system? Well, we looked at the factors of how to take it from basic to more of a dimensional look. We looked at different typefaces and how scaling actually could be achieved. We looked at the factor of this beautiful logo that 2x4 developed for them and sort of took it apart. So this is Accurat at its best. So we took Accurat and we knew it was a monotype. So we were like, great, that's fantastic. We stretched it, we extended it out into the cassette, and then we created more of a rectilinear sort of look. Very sharp, and we created this typeface called Accurat Monopixel and inline structure. But we didn't only stop there. We actually looked at it from the point of view of the scale and also dimension, so the dimensional look can actually be utilized. And then we looked at the programming and the pedestrian. You know, the whole idea of looking at an LED wall, you're just like, oh, that's nice, wow. Right? So, you know, yeah, we've got that. Then we've got this sense of interaction, the possibility that the people can actually walk into the actual building, see a touch screen, and readjust the screen, color, opacity, position, and themes over the course of the time. So they can do that. That's the second part that we're not going to show you today. And then there's this aspect of passive interaction, the idea of the BTS train coming in and then the themes actually changing. Or the idea of the sun rising in the morning at specific angles or the phases of the moon. And so we looked at those, and so we thought we'd create these sort of mini thematic apps that would be placed at different scales on the screen. And they could be easily adjusted and be incredibly flexible. And so we generated this particular tessellation that actually sort of worked out quite nicely. So when you sort of place the cassette on top of it, it sort of subdivides into this irregular structure. And then what happens is that you start to place your graphics onto it. So it's like temperature and financial information, the Thai are the biggest users of Instagram in the world, so they can actually take photographs and push them onto the screens, that type of thing. And they, so we tried that, but we also looked at it from the point of view of night. And that's one of the things that really pisses me off. When you go to Times Square, everything's like, oh my God, it's so fucking blinding me. We didn't want that to happen. So this is an example of the daytime programming. And it's really subtle in its sort of structure. And at certain times it sort of moves and resets itself, showing you different time zones. And then it can actually show you an ad, and then it can go all the way back to the interface. So it can open up different themes at different times. And then at night, how does that work? How it sort of the colors sort of push through the typography, and how the typography actually sits and glows in that sort of darkness. And so this is what it looks like in the day. So this is very recent. This is that's the tower, the cube that's going up. We're also doing work in there that will be done later on, hopefully maybe another 2 years. This is the screen when it was being tested. And that's where the tunnel's going to go through. You can walk through that. So I'm going to go through these nice and quickly, because there's a video at the end. So the idea of spectacle, the idea of actually stretching out, is really important. The idea of doing something really small and unique is important. The idea of doing something enormous and unique is also important. The idea of reach, the idea of tinkering is important. The scale of people is very, very small. There's also another theme where on top there's a Vogue bar, and the DJ actually can play the music, and see those bars in the entranceway? They actually are connected to the sound waves. So this is a video. Oh, nope, I'll show you night. Sorry, my apologies. So this is at night. And it's actually gorgeous at night. Big. Sun. So the funny thing, you saw the sun there, it was all everything's computationally created, and it actually works at the angle of the sun. But there was a funny thing that happened in regards to this particular spectacle. a sense of speculation. Is it going to work? Is it going to work? And, you know, that sun is, it starts, I think, 6:02 or to 6:05 in sort of 365 days. So there's only little increments, but the angle's always adjusting itself. And somebody took a photograph and put it on Instagram. And we were like, you know, at first we were like, oh, there's the screen, there's the screen. And then we're like, wait a minute, it's the sunrise. Hey, it's working. It's actually working. And it's amazing what people can do. So how do I finish this up? Well, I'm not going to stop trying to stretch and trying to flex and trying to tinker in different areas in different ways. I hope you don't stop too. Thank you.